Hey, what's up, Rancher?
Not much. Are we on the air?
How's it going?
Good.
You missed us last night. Bud and I went live. We thought the timing would be good for you, but I guess it was slightly off.
Oh, what time was it?
You know what? Let me turn this fan off behind me so I can hear you. I guess it was probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock your time.
Oh,
9 o'clock.
I was already in bed at 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Sad.
Oh, so it's been over a month since I talked to you.
Been a while.
Did you you pick any did you get your custom watch completed?
It's still being manufactured, but it's well on its way. I think the big I can't really go into detail about what the big holdup is, but
Yeah.
parts and parts and shipping.
I'm going to see if I can't get this to work.
Parts, shipping, and inflation.
Let me see if I can get this to work. Okay. Say something real quick.
Something real quick.
Oh, perfect. I can hear you through this now, and I don't have to wake up my family because it's pretty quiet. For some reason, it's really quiet today, and it feels like anything can wake anybody up. So I'll put this on. I wonder if it changed my sound, my microphone, though.
No, I still hear you. I still hear you fairly well. So if it has changed,
okay. Okay. It sounds like it stayed the same though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It didn't change my mic. I hope it didn't. Okay.
Well, okay.
So,
Rich Buddy, the purpose of a microphone is that we can hear you. If we hear you, even if it changed your mic, it's irrelevant.
I'm looking. It says it's using the custom mic. Okay. Well, I've been told that when I use the microphone that's in this headset, it's pretty bad. It sounds pretty bad. Okay.
If it sounded pretty bad, I would tell you it sounds pretty bad.
So you guys got some hang-ups in the custom watch. Got it.
A little bit, just a little bit, but I think everyone.
Supply issues.
Yep, yeah. And shipping issues. At this point, we're just like anxious for the suppliers to give us final invoices because we don't want the prices to go up anymore.
Where's the parts coming from that is the holdup? China, Russia?
Well, no idea.
Ukraine?
I don't even want to say what company it is because I don't want to do any. I don't want to do any Swiss shaming.
Gotcha. Daily Driver, what's up, man?
Well, and let's see. In the meanwhile, I've been trying to sell my mid-tier pieces here locally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Of course, it's just like anything else, sell 4x2. That's still consolidation, though.
Yeah, I think nowadays, man, you got to be really careful about getting shot for your Rolex now, especially if you're trying to sell it to somebody. Be careful.
No, that's true. Yeah.
It might not even be worth it sometimes,
Well, that's why the Rolex. That's why the Rolexes are on consignment. But yeah, actually, great. I mean, how I used to do it, like my joke used to be, Nothing says luxury watch purpose like two heavily armed men beating in an alley behind a Starbucks.
Right.
I don't know if I really trust that anymore.
You know what? I mean, maybe 6 months ago or a year ago, even when the watch prices were high, I think that a lot of people didn't know about watch prices. It's been publicized a lot more than lately. I mean, when I wasn't into watches so much, I knew Rolexes cost a lot of money, but I had no idea. I had no idea that Rolexes cost as much as cars. And I don't think that a lot of the normal people that walk the planet who aren't into watches, I don't think they have any idea what a Rolex is really worth at this point. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like most people, if you tell them your Rolex is $20,000, it'll probably be jaw dropping to them that you have an asset that much in a watch, right?
Yeah. But it's not like, wow. It's like more like the jaw drops, like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a question I don't think any of us can really answer. But
or like when my 10-year-old, when he was 7, tells the neighbors when he's over there, they make a comment about a Rolex, and he goes, "Oh, Rolex, that's a cheap watch. It's nothing like a Patek Philippe." And he's like 7 years old telling them this. And they're like, we've never even heard of Patek Philippe. Oh, my dad has one.
Oh, thanks, Tim. Thanks. And the thing is, though, not too long ago when I started, a lot of them weren't $10,000. They were under that, and you see, in a lot of ways, I kind of think it's like a very necessary, very vital market correction because, if they all cost $10,000 or more, even especially once the pandemic money quit flying around, quit being passed out, then who can really afford them? I think they'll price themselves out of the market. Patek Philippe could do that. Urban Jurgensen can try to do that. But the trouble is, Rolex is a mass-produced watch. You can't sell 1 million watches a year and then come back and sell you 1 million watches the next year if they're all going for a minimum of $10,000 or more.
Yeah.
I personally think that no one wants to use the R word, no one wants to use the I word, but people ask, and it's just like, well, talking to the old hands, during this super recession of 2008, Andy Hunter basically said, well, at the time, if you had Rolex Steel Sports, a rooted rotor, hey, if at the time, if you had Rolex Steel Sports, there's a momentary dip for a few months, and they quickly went back up. If you had anything else, it took longer. In some cases, years longer. So, So the people,
I think there's going to be a bounce back up, to be honest, in the prices. I think you're gonna. So they tapered at April, just like you and I have talked about, and Bud have talked about, and we well saw that in advance here that April was going to be the top. Now that it's come down a little bit, I think it's going to plateau. Like it's going to come down, stabilize like it's doing for a little bit. I think you're going to see another bump back up to the prices we saw 6 months ago. Because the inflation really wasn't the factor that moved the prices of luxury watches up. It was demand versus supply. Now inflation is a new variable in the picture, and I don't think people have figured that in yet. So the depreciation in the prices due to less demand right now because of the economy and stuff, I think now that might be offset by inflation, and these prices might go right back to right where they were just because of that, without even any action going on in the playing field. So without even another single watch being bought, I think the effects of inflation will move them that alone. What do you think about that theory?
It's hard to tell though, because of course, they call economics the dismal science, but um, but it's you're to a certain degree, it's like you're trying to predict human behavior and human responses, and I think a lot of people, and
Yes,
especially a lot of people in this market, are irrational.
irrational. That brings me to something. A good analogy it might be, actually. Um, do you think they should ban guns based on yesterday's incident?
I'm sure if you asked, 14 sets of parents, they would probably say yes.
Right, right. So, and then you know, it's like
And the
when
funny
you
part,
when you think about like the
and if
Oklahoma City bombing and bombings, and then if I ask you the question, should they ban? Do you think they should ban bombs? Now it's
bombs,
like, well, bombs are
bombs,
already banned.
right?
Well, but there still are bombings. So it's kind of like my analogy is like
You
asking the
know,
question, do you think we should ban guns? It would be like, well, what difference would it make if bombs are banned, yet you still have bombings? You know what I
well,
mean?
on the other hand, I almost think no, that's inaccurate, because no, if the only way to compare it is in a world, you'd have to go to a world where there were no bans on bombs, where you could go to any street corner and buy a bomb, or whatever. The
Hmm.
reason why the bombing happened in Oklahoma City is that it was to pissed off war veterans who knew enough to to read some army manuals and figure out how to put one together. They broke into using fertilizer, which is something that was kind of unusual. I don't, no one ever heard of a fuel air bomb until the Murrah bombing.
Yeah, now they regulate everything. I tried to buy a gallon of contact cement, and they will only sell it to me in pints.
Yep. Now, to a certain degree, you're
Um,
right, because if you wanted to badly enough, then you would buy 4 points, or you would go and get seven. Okay, you'd get seven post office boxes to have a different pint to meld each one.
now, Rooted Rotors says people have gotten hammered in the markets lately, which could have a negative impact on the watch prices. I was thinking about that too. But you also have to remember that for every loser in the market, there's a gainer, and that's one thing that's always consistent. So for every person who lost that money, someone made that money. So I'm not sure how that really impacts
Oh, I don't
things.
know. I don't know if it's 1 to 1. It could be for every 30 people that lost money, it could be one person that gained. So I don't know if it's yeah. But
Yeah, that
I've often thought the same thing with lawyers. No matter what happens, there's different there's lawyers making money. It's just depending on the circumstances, it's different lawyers making different amounts of money.
right, right. Yeah, some
Oh,
lawyers are just killing it. I guess it depends on where they live,
where they're living, what
demographics,
they
right?
did. Yeah. Oh, Rauncher, I forgot. I changed that on another channel just to see if anyone noticed, and surprisingly enough, no one did. There we go.
I don't know where it was, but just it was yesterday. Some gal was talking about the same thing that we're talking about right now, the job placement, I guess, making money. And she said she knows a psychologist who deals with super wealthy people, and he has his own yacht, and he invites the family on the yacht for a week or a few days or whatever, and he just pretends like he's a fly on the wall and watches them and evaluates them, and he charges them just big money uh, to do those evaluations. But pretty ingenious, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Hey,
Well,
Lucien, how's it going? What's going on, kiddo?
well, in that way, they can't really get away. That'd be the Evangel yacht. Or it could be maybe the guy just like, man, I just love being on my yacht. But I would suppose they could do that anywhere. It could be like a house in the middle somewhere. But I suppose if that were to happen, then, a couple of the teenagers, so they could say, screw you, Dad, and, jump in the car and drive off or whatever.
Yeah.
If something doesn't, if something doesn't change, though, I think it will be the end of the watch market, just or for most people, or it'd be like more like buying supercars. There are still people that pay supercars. They spend great deals of money. It's just very few people that can do that.
Yeah.
Watches. Bob the plumber can do that if he could go in and get like a Oyster Perpetual or a Datejust for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. But when we start, when he goes to the Rolex AD and they say no, and it's like twice that, Bob the plumber or Larry the plumber they have enough sense to say, too effing bad. I'm not going to get that.
Yeah. I don't know. Everybody's just now saying you should put your money in collectible type assets. They're just now saying that. So that's probably a good indication it's time to get out, maybe. But I mean, people are just saying it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Miami Jameson, I just sold a few pieces. Most dealers don't want to buy even Rolexes.
They're afraid to pay the prices right now.
Well, and the other thing is, and the used dealers, though, I wouldn't be surprised if we've all been playing a rigged game all this time.
So what did you take? You have some pieces on consignment?
Yes.
For sale? What did you what'd you put up?
Well, and I'm not going to say where I've got them at, because actually my person says, please don't talk about where you've got stuff in the Archieverse, because these people he said these people are terrible to deal with. I don't want to mess with them.
Only the old timers are going to remember where you got them, so they'll know. Yeah. Anyway. Someone else would have to watch 300 videos to find it out.
More like 700.
that I've got.
Well, like I said, I still the 861. I've got a couple of funky little vintage pieces. I've got the Hoyer Big Eyes, the Rare Birds. I've got the Thunderbirds, and a few other pieces like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And the overseas.
Oh, okay.
Of course, the overseas version won. So,
well, that might have been a watch you'd never be able to get rid of back in the day, and right now you've got a really good shot at fetching your money back on it right now.
Yep.
So,
well,
these aren't watches you really wear either.
No, a lot of it is just more and more because of, I hate to say it, the Rolex, the Apple Watch is really the true tool watch of the 21st century. Messages, whatnot, communications.
You really think so? Isn't it a little petite to do all of those functions?
It's slowly growing bigger, and as they grow bigger, the battery also is growing.
Slowly growing bigger. That sounded funny.
Yep, exactly.
And the battery's what?
In the
battery's getting better.
Battery function is increasing as well. Battery life. Now, and so far, just like I said, the fun part of the market is stuff like my avatar, the Chronomaster Seamaster.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 60s Omega Steel Sports, 42 millimeters, wearable size. You've got a half-assed chronograph. You got a half-assed dive bezel. I mean, it meets all your half-assed needs, and relatively affordably because it's been overlooked.
So what do you? I mean, you're talking about you have practical watches to wear versus ones that you have up for consignment right now?
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, pick the unique ones that you like to wear and you're going to wear. And yeah, I mean, it's a giant shoebox full of watches, man. You got to get rid of some at some point. I feel the same way.
47.
You
know? Yeah. And local ones, and some of them, it's just I've been holding on to for a while. So it's just I basically said I told the local groups, I said, you've heard about these watches. I'm finally disclosing them. But it's just like everything else. Everyone else is rag picking. Everyone else thinks that they're the next potential user. It's just there's nothing wrong with getting what you like. And there's some people, it's just like, these are nice pieces. I understand the value of them intrinsically, but none of them speak to me. That's the type of collector I respect.
Hmm.
But it's the ones that they're going through and they're trying to say, well, which one can I just turn around and put on Craigslist and make $50 for? And it's just like rag pickers.
Yeah, we were watching Apollo 13.
Yes.
With Tom Hanks a couple of nights ago, and it's just Omega all over the place in that movie,
Yep. Rooted rotor. I just sold off my Explorer 2 42 millimeter polar and didn't wear it much. Too big for my wrist. Yeah. And on something like now, there's also something, believe it or not, I can tell because I should actually thank the Timepiece gentleman and his Marco, because I used to be so darn mad at him because they would. Oh,
are those guys still around?
Well, I've heard something about TPG. I'm not going to repeat it because I'm not 100% sure it's legit, and I don't want to just. But I haven't seen any of his ads, at least even locally. I'll go on Craigslist or whatnot, and a couple other, and I'll just expand it and say, go see what's in Dallas. But I should thank those guys because, man, I used to rack up so many miles on my car driving down to Dallas every other weekend. And thanks to them scooping up everything. See, I don't, they're for one, competition with them and losing bad. It's because, if I wanted to go down there, I had to wait until I had a day where,
Oh, right. A free day available to go.
A free day available to go, or enough of a free day, and get in touch with the person. Then they're of course, they're there cruising around in a car just
with cash,
with a big old wad of cash,
just offering 70% probably, or whatever, and people are just taking it.
Yeah, and people saying, I think it used to be I'd only have a shot because people got tired of them, or people grew to hate them.
Yeah.
Okay. Ghost of AC3's Lost Youth. Oh, and there's a couple. Well, go say AC3's lost youth. Yeah. Why don't you go on Archie and just give him your money? Give him all your money. Give him all your money right now. Why are you on here with us? Your actions don't matter. Give him all your money.
The Polar is rooted rotor. The Polar is one that I would buy if my AD called me with one right now.
Well, and actually, I think there was one here locally, or maybe in Dallas or something like that. And I think I ran the numbers. It was maybe like 3 years old, but it's just like it wasn't like if you got a brand new one at the MSRP with sales tax, and this would have been like $30 more. I'm thinking, no, that's not horrible. If I really wanted that Black Dial Explorer 2, 42 millimeters, that's not horrible at all. So to me, that's almost saying where everything's going.
Rolex keeps coming out with new watches. Bud just turned me on to a couple of new ones that they just released since the releases came out. Like they've got a green dialed date just, and the same green as that's on the date.
Nice.
That he's trying to get right now.
Well, and I have a great deal of respect for. I have a great deal of respect for a Datejust, because it's not trying to be, it's not trying to play pretend. It's not trying to be anything other than what it is. Just a nice little well-made three-handed watch with a date.
Yeah, it's a great calendar watch. You don't necessarily need the day on there. That's a special function that the day dates always had. Most watch manufacturers don't even make that feature.
And see, and a lot, like I said, a lot of people just simply, it's just like, and that's why back in the past, people bought watches for what they actually needed them for. Not they didn't use them as costume jewelry or as to play dress up and pretend. It used to be you'd go to Rolex AD and Rolex AD would be showing Merle sports watches, and Merle would be saying, "Yacht Master, you're trying to sell me a Yacht Master, son. Do you realize we're living in a landlocked state, right? What would I need a Yacht Master for?"
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a new one that they've come out with too, the yellow gold Yacht Master.
Yeah.
That's on their site right now. The Yacht Master with the rubber strap in yellow gold. Looks pretty nice.
Well, and if I had a yacht, I would really seriously consider it.
Bud's looking to go after one of those watches, but I was telling him to chase the Falcon dial because that one might be a collector's piece at some point. The Falcon dial is that stone dial they made in that version, I think. You seen it?
Yeah, well, okay. But to a certain degree, I flinch every time I hear a statement like that. Because, well, it might be more collectible.
There we go. Yeah, well, you want to pick the collectible pieces for sure.
No, you want to pick the pieces you freaking like.
Now, well, you should like the collectible pieces.
I shouldn't. You like what you like.
You should understand what you should like. And sometimes if you don't understand what you should like, maybe somebody should help you understand what you like, and that would be something that would be more collectible.
Well, then why don't you just ask everybody else what you should buy? because that's what you're doing. You're buying a watch purchase based upon what you think other people like or will like in the future.
I think it's a combination of those elements. Like, I mean, if you started collecting Legos, you're going to want to get involved in the Lego community and find out what are the Legos to collect rather than just starting to collect what you like. You know, maybe there's little niche interests that will spark your
I think that might
you
be
know.
a consideration, but you're making it sound like the consideration.
I think it's
And to a certain degree, I think that's what's wrong with all of it.
I think
And Herman Ingram is F Rolex. You know, I don't know. I don't even know if it's Rolex or partially the ADs, or it's a lot of it is basically us.
What's that? As far as what?
That's caused this. That's caused this bubble. That's caused. I mean that when I see like the what is the Swatch times Omega, that just makes me sad. It's just like that's what the market's gone to. It's like we're a bunch of barking dogs who will sit there and growl and fight and for any sort of chunk of meat that the watch companies throw to us. That it's like it's come to this. My God, we're now arguing and we're now jockeying into position just to get freaking disposable watches. That's why I think this. If that's where this thing is going to, count me out. I'll get one or two vintage pieces I like that I can have work done, and you guys can have the rest of them.
I don't know, man. It's all about collectability, Clive. It's all about collectability. I mean, I think you could be happy with it. Almost any watch you look at, you could certainly be much happier with a much less expensive watch.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to buy a Rolex. So there's definitely.
And I would think so. And I'd actually say that it's kind of, there's so many, part of the reason why Rolex is so super hyper powered is that there's so many freaking noobs in it going nothing but Rolex. Mass produced, overrated. Rolex caused it. Oh, I don't know if they caused it, Herman, but they certainly condone it. They certainly do not mind. Well, Rich, you said about 30 minutes, and it has been over 30 minutes.
All right. Cool. So, we had a good show last night, too. Too bad you missed us. So if you guys missed it, check out. I did a show with Bud last night. We just talked about different watches. We pulled up the screen. Mostly Rolexes.
No doubt Rolex is overrated. A fine watch. Come on, man. Thank you. Yep. They'll probably discontinue them fast like the Tiffany 41. And again, that's everyone playing the collectability game.
Well, to be fair, they're amongst the least expensive luxury watches out there. I mean, most people can't touch anything other than Rolex if they're going into luxury watches because everything else costs a significantly more amount of money, right? Rolex is kind of the lowest tier, man.
It kind of also depends. Well, but the thing is, though, if that's the case, the luxury watch market is screwed because if Rolex is the lowest tier, then most people can't touch Rolex.
Well, I mean, it is, though. It is the lowest tier. And I think that's why there's such a big demand and why it is so mass produced, because they dominate that first tier market of luxury watches. Because right above that, now you got to go Vacheron. How much is a Vacheron Sports at retail or any other brand for that matter? AP, Blancpain, Ulysse Nardin. And they all start at 25,000-30,000. You
But on
know?
the other hand, those sort of people, okay, no, I see what you're trying. You're trying to draw me in. You said 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one at work.
Bye.
We'll see you later, buddy. Anyway, couldn't draw him in any further. But yeah, I mean, they're mass produced for. There's a demand for them. You know, I suppose that's why they're mass produced. But anyway, all right. Thanks for joining. 2 shows in 12 hours. We'll probably see you guys in another month. All right. All right. No, I don't have my chain link anymore. I sold out, and I'm just not sure what I'm doing, to be honest. I've made some moves in and out of different things, and I might just be waiting for Bitcoin to drop to 8,000-9,000 so that I can go in and just buy a bunch of Bitcoin with my cash position and just come up that way by letting everything go down. So I'm reverse playing the market right now, mostly sitting in cash. Though the only crypto I didn't get rid of is Ethereum, which I wish I sold that since it went down as much too, but I held on to my Ethereum. I didn't want to get rid of it during the conversion that's coming up in June to 2.0. So I got suckered into holding those bags. But I'm still in the game, just trying to figure it out. So yeah, my back is keeping me from live streaming. My back and my hands. So I'm doing much less of these. But you'll see me. I'm okay. I just it's just too difficult to live stream like I used to every day, like I used to. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out. And last night's show was pretty good. Check it out with Bud. You know, Bud's always a lot of fun to hang out with. He's always banging out some new watches, and he did pick one up. So he's got a picture of it on his phone, but he didn't actually pick it up yet. So check out last night's show. It was 1 hour. All right, later. Forget where all the buttons are.